Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is 𝗬𝗏𝗍, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, we are doing a reading and energy update for our beautiful collective here on YouTube. So thank you so much for tuning into the video today. Thank you for sharing your own light and energy with this space that we are growing and co-creating together here on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle and get into the messages. I don't know exactly what's going to be coming up yet in the reading. So this is one of those reading videos where I am really just going to let the cards and the energy kind of carry the messages wherever they're meant to go. Now, of course, as I always say, use your intuition and only take the messages from this video that truly resonate with you in a personal and intuitive way. Because at the end of the day, it's really your intuition that is the compass of your life experience. So feel free to set any intentions that you have for the reading as well, either out loud, in your own mind, in the comment section, however you're feeling guided to send that energy. And it's really funny because I was shuffling the cards and I thought that the King of Cups came out, but I wasn't quite sure, so I reshuffled again, and lo and behold, that card is now here again at the bottom of the deck. So clearly, this is meant to be the starting point for the reading. Now, what I'm getting from this card is a very gentle, warm, emotionally connected kind of masculine energy. For some reason, the word nostalgic is coming up here as well. So this may be someone that you have a past with, or someone who's feeling very emotional and very nostalgic about you at this time. Now, please keep in mind as well that whenever I channel into masculine and feminine energy dynamics, these are labels that I use to describe energies. So they may connect with your internal masculine or internal feminine because we all have a balance of both. This also could connect to an external person or situation, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It really doesn't even have to be a person. This could be an opportunity, an environment, something in your life. So always, of course, take that however it's connecting for you. But I'm getting a very masculine energy, but again, one that's the words coming out are like warm, gentle, and emotionally connected. I'm also getting something about safety and how this is a person who, or again, an opportunity, a pathway, an environment, whatever it is, it's something that makes you feel safe inherently. And it's because your nervous system is relaxing around it, because you can sense that it's so emotionally connected to itself. I'm also feeling like this is very much an energy without pressure, that isn't pressuring or forcing you, but is very much holding some kind of space here in a gentle way. That's what I'm getting from this. Oh, and of course, right as I pull that card here, we have the Lovers, but we also have the Four of Swords. The fact that all of these cards came out at the bottom of the deck tells me, and I'm getting something about a mountain, by the way, that could be relevant to someone, but this tells me that there is something happening here beneath the surface, beneath appearances, almost like a very kind of subconscious process taking place here that you might have a sense of, but that you might be almost questioning or feeling confused about. I'm getting that in some cases, if this King of Cups represents a masculine in the form of an actual physical person in your life, especially a romantic person, then the subconscious process happening beneath the surface here that you may be questioning or you may not be fully aware of is the fact that this person is deeply in love with you, that they have a huge amount of love towards you with the Lovers card, and that they're very fixated on you in that way. But with the Four of Swords, I see this and I keep getting the word pause. I feel like part of why you may not be aware in this scenario, if this is another physical person, the reason you may not be aware of the love that they're holding for you beneath the surface could actually be because they've been in some state of pause. And while they still have this warmth and this gentleness towards you, there's also this feeling of almost having been emotionally overwhelmed by something. It's interesting. My voice cracked there for a second, which can sometimes tell me that there's something kind of strange going on with the throat chakra between the two of you in that shared connection space. So there could be something off about your communication right now on the surface. There could be Gemini or Aquarius energy in someone's birth chart here. I'm getting this as well. I'm also hearing the third eye, the heart, and the throat chakras all have to be aligned fully in order for this to move forward in a visible way. So what I'm getting is with the third eye, that represents really like the intuition, the spiritual knowing, and the heart, of course, represents the emotions, and the throat represents communication and connectedness to one's inner truth as well. So I'm hearing that it's like the spiritual knowing, the emotional feelings, and the clarity on inner truth all have to be connected here in order for there to be movement forward, especially in the realm of clear physical 3D communication from this person or in this situation. So I feel like what's been happening here is those three chakra centers have been in this process of being brought into alignment, because what I'm getting is some of those things may have been there while the others were like seemingly disconnected. This is kind of difficult to describe, but it's almost like, for example, this person may have had really strong feelings, but not yet realized through the third eye that this was like a spiritual connection and not really connected to their inner truth about you or about the connection. Or alternatively, maybe they knew what they were kind of thinking about it internally, like the throat chakra had a strong energy there, and the two of you may have had strong communication physically in the past, but they hadn't fully connected the dots to the third eye and the heart chakras, where they were able to realize, wait, we aren't just getting along really well communicating in the physical. It's much deeper than that. There's a spiritual connection, and there are also very deep feelings here in the heart. And I will say a message is coming through around that if that's connecting for you. I got the number 808 for someone as well, and I will be channeling into that number. But here I want to say that if you had more physical 3D communication with this person in the past and that throat chakra energy was really strong, what may have happened is the divine almost shut off that connection temporarily, shut off the 3D physical outlet or channel of communication, or there was like distortion in the channel is what I'm hearing, for the purpose of this person in the silence being forced to realize, wait, there are deeper feelings here. There's a deeper spiritual connection here. Because what I'm getting is, in some cases, this may have been a situation where I'm hearing something about banter or conversation, like the two of you really getting along in terms of conversation, back and forth, like intellect or banter or humor or something like that. And this may have been the type of person to tell themselves, well, maybe we just had this really great kind of synergy or surface level connection. But now in the silence, however that silence came about, I feel it was divine intervention in a sense, because it's pushing this person to realize, wait, now there's silence and I'm still in this pressure chamber with my emotions in spite of the lack of communication in the physical. This must mean I have deeper feelings. And ultimately, I feel the further the silence goes on, the more it's pushing them to realize it's even deeper than just those heart chakra feelings, that there's also that third eye connection at play here, a deeper spiritual connection as well. Because I keep picking up something about a psychic connection here between the two of you. This could be coming through in dreams, maybe strange synchronicities. I'm hearing that if you're experiencing any of this, know that this person seems to be experiencing that too. So if you've been like having vivid dreams about them or strange like psychic experiences related to them or seeing synchronicities about them, you may have been wondering, is this just me, or are they feeling it on their end? And this may be that confirmation for you. Yes, they are experiencing those same things. I'm hearing something about it being equal, like the feelings being equal, but different in expression. Ooh, that's interesting. It's like you're feeling the same thing, but possibly expressing it differently or consciously processing it at a slower or faster rate. Specifically, you, if you're the feminine here, are most likely processing this faster, and they're most likely processing it more slowly. So I am going to be looking up the number 808. So this can be a powerful sign from the universe or your spirit guides. The 8 can represent abundance, financial success, inner strength, personal power. Whereas 0 can represent spiritual growth, oneness, and divine support. It represents a magnifier for the numbers around it and signifies cycles and potential. You know, I feel like this relates to your personal energy. I'm actually getting 2 messages here, one for you and one for the person involved here. So for you on a personal level, I feel like this represents that there's something you are considering doing or that you've started doing in your life, and this seems to be a powerful sign of divine support in whatever this thing is. I just keep hearing you are supported or you will be supported. So if you've had some kind of inspired idea lately, some kind of new dream or goal, and it really feels like it's coming from that inspired place, I'm getting that this is not just a random urge. This is actually a spiritual inspiration that is somehow guiding you down a pathway into an even higher timeline. And I do see some kind of success coming along with that, however you personally define success, because of course we all have different ways of defining that for ourselves. But I feel like this could be something related to your finances, your status, career, things of that nature. I'm hearing the word elevation, like this is some form of you being elevated to a higher level. Again, however you define that, but through some kind of urge or some kind of nudge in a direction. The thing I'm getting about that as well is that while you're going to be very supported in this from a spiritual perspective in the divine realm, you may actually be feeling a lack of support when it comes to the physical realm, specifically people around you. This is actually a message I kept picking up earlier today as well. And it was around how you may have people in your life or from your past, maybe friends, family members, who are, I'm hearing that many of these individuals mean well, but they are self-limited by a current concept of you that for you is actually a past version of you, because you've already spiritually and emotionally outgrown it, and you're ready now for your reality to catch up to this expanded version of you. And that is such a beautiful thing. And I feel you've been having the courage to take those steps in that direction, but that there may be many people around you who are still, again, like self-limited by a past perception of you. And it's almost like they don't even realize how much you've outgrown that version of yourself because they can't really see beyond it yet. Not to say that they won't acclimate to this new version of you, but you may be feeling like in the process of really embodying that initially or stepping into it, that you're not really getting the support that you are expecting or desiring from some of the physical people around you. And I don't know why this is coming up specifically, but it may be simply to let you know that you're on the right path regardless, and to continue celebrating yourself every step of the way, knowing that you can trust yourself, knowing that you're moving in alignment, even if there are people who can't see past really, again, it's a past version of you. It's not even who you are now energetically. The sense I keep getting about you, and it's truly so beautiful from a quantum perspective. And not just from this quantum, less visible perspective, but all of that is starting to show up or will be showing up physically as well. I feel like that beauty that I'm picking up on here energetically is going to, or already is, showing physically as well. But again, it's almost like other people have to catch up to it to some extent. But anyway, you're coming up here as the Empress. I'm also hearing something about how your freedom intimidates people. Your freedom of expression, the way that you allow yourself such a high degree of freedom and openness and flexibility when it comes to your life, things that you do in your life, maybe things that you pursue. I feel like there's this openness about your energy. It may be in the way that you interact with and love others, but there's an openness about you, a freedom about you that intimidates people who are still unconsciously trapped in some self-created prison. And I'm hearing something about being the odd one out. So for the person I'm speaking to here, you may often feel as though you've always been the odd one out, like in a group, in a social setting, maybe going through school growing up with your classmates, in your family. There's always been something inherently very different about you. And I'm actually picking up that early in your life, this may have led to experiences of being picked on or bullied or singled out in negative ways by classmates, for some reason, I'm hearing teammates. Maybe someone here was on a team, or this is a work environment. I don't know. But I feel at times it's like that was a negative singling out. And it's ironic because although it may have had those negative implications for you at the time, being criticized, I'm hearing sometimes you would even be over criticized by authority figures or people who were teachers or parents or people above you would almost pick you out in a sort of way. This won't be for everyone, so only take this if it resonates. But I'm getting, ironically, the reason that would happen is because you have a standout kind of energy in a truly beautiful way. You have a very rare, unique aura, and something about that aura, something about that essence has always been inherently intimidating to people because you are like a contradiction to the matrix, to the status quo. Your very essence, your very existence, even when it was something that you were carrying less consciously, like a soul quality you hadn't fully learned how to embody. I mean, now I feel like you're fully really embodying this soul quality. You're more conscious of it, which makes it even more powerful, but also even more intimidating to others. But in the past, even when you were maybe a child and carrying this quality about you on this less conscious level, people still would pick up on it subconsciously, notice it, and single it out, and not always in ways that were positive. It's strange. I feel like you've always been the kind of person, again, to stand out from a crowd or a group, but then to attract attention that can either be very positive or very negative. And it's actually coming from the same sort of source. Whether that attention was positive or negative, both reactions, although they seem to be opposite, were reacting to this rare quality about your energy. And again, I just keep hearing that something about your existence, it's almost like you incarnated here on this earth, literally carrying these light codes in your soul that were automatically deprogramming the matrix, breaking down limiting belief systems even before you became conscious of those codes within yourself, so to speak, even before you went through this spiritual awakening and began realizing all of that in a more conscious way, even still, it was like embedded within your soul's fabric in a way that other people would pick up on, would sense, and would single out in ways that seem to be really strange. So I don't know who that's for, but I really hope that reached you. If it is for you, maybe that spoke to some kind of experience that you've been having throughout your life. Now, another symbol that's been coming through here, both on one of these cards and then on my daily walk the other day, I saw this as well, but I've been noticing a lot of ducks coming up symbolically. And so this can represent emotional depth, adaptability, nurturing energy, and spiritual protection. Grace in transition. Ducks can walk, swim, and fly, showing their adaptability across land, water, and sky. Spiritually, this points to someone who can navigate multiple dimensions in life. They also represent balance between physical and spiritual realms, especially in shamanic or nature-based spiritual paths. They are able to move between water and air with ease, which speaks to grace during change or transformation. Wow, so I feel like there are a lot of different messages wrapped up in that for someone. I feel that for many of you, you are in the middle of a really powerful transformation and transition right now in your life. And the strange thing about it is, I'm getting that Steve Jobs quote about how you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back. And what I'm getting really strongly is you may be kind of in the middle of those dots right now where you're taking the next intuitive, inspired step forward. At the same time, I'm getting you have this sense that you're being prepared for something. And that preparation can take many forms. One thing that can sometimes happen when you're being prepared is you can actually be slowed down. So strangely, sometimes when you're being spiritually prepared for something massive that you don't even really know is coming, you actually can be pushed into a period of rest where you feel like things that you're typically able to do are just stressing you out or burning you out, and you just have to relax or slow down or take more breaks, even if that's not typical for your nature, even if you're used to being more active. In other cases, it could be that certain aspects, areas, or things in your life will actually feel closed down, either literally where suddenly you're not able to do them for whatever reason, connect with them, access them, or more spiritually and emotionally where suddenly your intuition is giving you the red light, which we've talked about the red light and green light with the intuition, and how your intuition knows when it's time to stop, when it's time to pause, and when it's time to start moving forward. And I feel like right now, there may be many of you who are at some kind of red light or who experienced more fatigue or burnout or tiredness than usual, where your body was calling you to rest. And it's almost, I'm getting that sort of sensation when you are trying to sleep a good amount because you know you have a really big day the next day. And I feel like for many of you, that's the feeling. It's almost like being on the brink, like you feel like you've been given this space where for whatever reason you've been more burnt out or needing to rest, and you don't really know what that quote unquote big day is tomorrow, metaphorically, but you know that there's something coming, and that's your intuition preparing you in a sense. So I guess the major message, and this really does feel like it's speaking to a hyper-specific group in the collective, so definitely use your intuition on whether this is for you. But if it is, I feel as though the message coming through is quite simply, if your intuition is telling you to take some kind of action, flow with it. If it's telling you to pause, to sleep more, to rest, to hydrate, to nourish yourself, listen to that. If it's asking for gentle movement, it's like whatever you feel being called forth from within you intuitively, there is a reason. And I feel like there's also something coming out very strongly here about even in those moments where you are feeling inspired to something, it's just as important to know when to pause and when to rest and when to pull back as it is when to step forward in an inspired way. Because I feel almost like you're going to feel this very stop and go energy where you are pulled forward in an inspired way, and then suddenly it's almost like you're climbing a staircase and then there's a landing. There's this moment of pause, of rest. And it's not that you're losing any of your progress by resting. It's very much the opposite. It's reminding me of messages I pulled through in a reading a while ago where we were saying pause or rest, don't quit. So like instead of stopping or instead of backtracking or kind of like tearing everything down, when you get burnt out or when you have to pause or take a break, to instead just see it as a completed leg of that journey and to intuitively give yourself that time to rest, because there have been a lot of really strong messages coming up about how we as a collective are really mastering this very deep and nuanced art of flowing with our own personal rhythm. And really every soul has, of course, its own frequency, but that frequency comes with a natural rhythm as well. And I've been picking up a lot of messages on the importance of really aligning with that natural rhythm of your spirit, of your soul, when it comes to manifesting, when it comes to however you are going about taking action or moving forward in your life, and how important it is to not adhere to or try to force yourself into someone else's rhythm or society's rhythm, which is often really manic and really frantic and overly fast-paced, but to really tap into your own rhythm, to not compare it to anyone else's. Just like we've talked about not comparing your timing to anyone else's. There's been a lot coming up about finding freedom in, yes, releasing those timelines, those deadlines, those like hard and fast, this needs to happen by X day or in X amount of time, but also the extra layer that's been coming through on those messages lately has been about your rhythm, how you actually go about timing and pacing your own actions, your own movement forward, and of course, your own rest, your own times of pause to kind of create that rhythm that works for you. So I am going to be reshuffling the cards here. I was taking a pause to see if anything else wanted to come through on that, but I kind of feel like that was the message for now. I do feel like we are going to be definitely elaborating a lot more on that. This reading has been really interesting because we started with talking about this other person who may have paused when it came to you, and then suddenly we started talking about you personally, and it all kind of spawned from that number 808 that took us off in this direction. But I said that that number 808 had two meanings. So we've talked about how that relates to you and how you're going to be supported as you move forward. But I guess now a caveat we could add to this is you are going to be spiritually supported as you move forward in your own rhythm and at your own pace and in your own timing. That your rhythm is supported, your timing is supported. So now, when it comes to the masculine sort of King of Cups energy that was coming out at the beginning of the reading, I feel that that number 808, it actually seems to speak more to some kind of, I don't want to call it a pressurized system that they're being put in, but that's almost what it feels like a divine pressure system pushing through realizations within this person. I'm also hearing the word longing. So this is someone who is experiencing a lot of longing. Now, if this is personal or romantic, this would be longing towards you, to connect with you, to speak with you if there's no communication. Can I get any more information? There's definitely something about your voice or your way of speaking, or maybe the two of you just had a way of speaking to each other that this person is really longing for. Okay, we have the Devil reversed. and the Six of Cups in the upright position. Interesting. So with the Devil reversed, I really feel as though it's almost like this person is saying, the moment I am free of whatever this heavy situation is, or this heavy dynamic, or something that they're finding to be very restrictive, very confining, it's almost like they're saying, the moment I am free of this, I'm coming back to you, or I'm coming to offer you something, or I'm going to move forward in some way. And you being the Queen of Wands here, yeah, I see it's like you are in this beautiful, confident, self-assured, passionate energy, most likely very focused on what's going on in your own life here. And I feel actually that in many cases, if this reading has been connecting, you've managed to, for the most part, detach from this person and situation. Not to say that you're not carrying a part of it around with you, not to say that it hasn't been meaningful or doesn't hold a special place for you, but I really feel as though the sense I keep getting, to be honest, is that temporarily this person had some kind of major hold on you where it was really hard to detach, where it was really hard to let go. And it almost became this like obsessive spiral. But I feel like you really regained your footing. Now, we've talked about this because this has been coming up in a lot of recent readings, but what we've been describing is that you are very spiritually in tune and very intuitively connected. So what this means is you tend to be the one, when you meet someone that you have a really powerful soul connection with, who feels the full weight of that connection first. It tends to hit you like a wave, is what I said in the last reading. Whereas for the other person involved, it tends to kind of be processed very slowly in layers if they aren't necessarily as consciously, spiritually in tune. And that's what I'm getting from this person. But it's almost like you've processed what happened here. You know what it was on some level. You know how impactful it was. But I also feel you managed to kind of regain your footing. Now, I'm getting this sort of added note to this, which is for the group that I'm speaking to here, something kind of strange happens when you encounter these individuals that you have a really strong soul connection with, where you're realizing it, but they're not. It's almost like you've been through this so many times that even in the middle of it, you may think to yourself, I can't wait until I can kind of reground myself once I've processed this and sort of feel stable again. But you have almost this knowing that it's going to hit the other person in the form of regret later on. Almost like you can feel or intuit that they are going to be regretting not taking action at the time, because you've already processed the spiritual connection. You already know how deep it is, but this person may not find out until later, and sometimes until it's too late or just like really delayed for them to take action. In some cases, you may know that if they don't take action, you are going to pull back your energy and probably be able to restabilize and move forward, but that regret is going to hit them later on. And it's almost like you can have this awareness in the moment of interacting with them long before they experience that regret later on for their inaction. It's almost like you're waiting to see if they're going to take action, but you know if they don't, that it's something they're going to regret. It's like you can psychically see into that timeline. I hope that makes sense. I feel like this is why I love doing these readings with all of you, because I feel like we do have such a rare collective here that thinks on such a high level and processes things so deeply. And these are topics and concepts that so few people just generally in the population would really be able to comprehend or understand. But I think it's a beautiful thing that we can find each other here and connect in ways where we're all experiencing similar dynamics and similar forms of like spiritual wisdom, and knowing that then we can kind of share with each other to make this journey feel less lonely. So that was a bit of an aside, but thank you for being here for that. So yeah, I see you in that detached but magnetic state of being, but this person is coming up as the Hanged Man, almost like they've been sitting in limbo. They've been longing for you, feeling this extremely strong magnetic pull towards you, but instead of doing anything about it right now, they've been going through, first of all, a major tower moment with the Tower as they're releasing themselves from the Devil card energy. So as they're letting go of something in their life that's been really heavy, challenging, low vibrational, I feel in many cases, this is something you may be aware of, but I feel like it's something I'm hearing that they may have masked in some way or not been open with you about in person or in the physical. I feel like this is something they, even if they were to have talked about it, they were not fully honest with the heaviness around it or the darkness or chaos around it because they didn't want you to perceive them in like a negative light. They didn't realize you're so intuitive. You already sensed, like, for example, if it's a relationship, you sensed how bad it was or how heavy it was. If it was their work situation, you could already kind of pick up on the subtext energetically that they weren't telling you, but they thought they were being kind of secretive to protect your image of them, to protect how you saw them, if that makes sense. But I do see that now they're going through this major upheaval in their life. This seems like it's been a really difficult time of struggle for them. If there's been some kind of silence, I'm actually feeling that part of why the silence may have occurred, yes, it was a form of divine intervention, as we said earlier, because they had to be in this pressure chamber of silence in the physical to fully realize the depth of this connection spiritually and what it meant to them. But I'm also picking up in some cases, they may have stepped away because they themselves felt like they were going through this massive struggle. They could feel this Tower moment coming on. They knew they had to free themselves from this heavy place or dynamic or situation. And they thought that you would perceive them differently if you knew the truth of all of this, if you were more involved with them as they were going through this. Now, of course, as we've been saying, you already really knew all of this on some level. They just didn't know that you knew, if that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like this person's over here in the Hermit, even if they have people around them. I'm hearing the loneliness is so loud in my own head. That seems to be what this person is saying. But this is also some kind of quest for truth is what I'm picking up on, like their true, deep, inner truth. With the Strength card, I feel like this represents you and how you are and have really been guided to stay in this elevated state of confidence, to stay in your own state of power. I'm hearing to not compromise your sense of personal empowerment or your boundaries emotionally or energetically to connect with this person, but to know that once they complete this sort of quest for truth that they're on here and free themselves from this Devil card energy, this heavy energy around them, that they will come towards you. That seems to be the really strong message here, because the thing is, they're already feeling that magnetic pull towards you, that longing towards you. They just haven't been yet in the position to act on it. So I do feel once again that message coming through, like the moment I'm free of this situation, I'm coming towards you. That's what seems to keep recurring through this reading. So again, I know this won't be for everyone. This does feel like one of those more specific ones, but I do hope that this reached someone who may be resonating with it and really needed to hear this message. If this did connect for you, we will be continuing this on to our Patreon and YouTube memberships version of the reading. So you can get the extended reading again, either on Patreon or on YouTube memberships, depending on your personal preference. And I'll be leaving the links to that in the pinned comment and the description box underneath this video. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at 𝗦cie_yourself. And if you do resonate with my energy, I would love to have you subscribed here on the channel as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to all of you who have been streaming my very first channeled song, which is called Go On to New York, and it's under my artist name, which is Songs by 𝗬𝗫. This song is gradually becoming available across all streaming platforms, but I believe last I checked, it was available on both Spotify and Apple Music as well. If you do specifically have a Spotify, then you can follow me there if you want to keep up with the music that I release. In this project, Songs by 𝗬𝗫, I will be releasing channeled songs, meaning songs that are meant to encapsulate certain threads of energy in lyrics and music, kind of similar to how I channel in these readings, except more so in a lyrical and song form for specific people or groups in the collective. So each song is meant to resonate with different kind of groups within our collective here. So I'm so excited to be sharing this project. It's something that I'm so passionate about doing, and thank you so much to all of you who have been giving so much love and support to the song. If you haven't listened to it yet, I will say that there are many parallels between the energy behind that song and some of the collectives that I've been channeling in this video's thread of energy as well. So for some of you who connected with this reading, you actually may find this song resonant either in a specific way or maybe just in a general, more emotional or energetic way. So in either case, if you are interested in listening and you haven't yet, I will leave a link to the Spotify version of the song, and I will be leaving that in the description box. If you do want to check out the lyrics will be available on Spotify very soon. I still have to get them uploaded on my end, and it's taking a little bit of time, but that should be available soon. And if you want to read them in advance, you can actually find them in my pinned Instagram reel. Again, my Instagram is at @magnetize_yourself, so I have the lyrics to the song there for now. But yeah, thank you so much for being part of this new project and this new phase, and also for sharing your light and energy here in this reading and on the channel generally. I hope you all have a really beautiful start to your week, and I will connect with you here again in Wednesday's reading.